Los Angeles, May 2025. In front of the federal courthouse, camera crews, reporters, and onlookers crowd together. Inside, not a single seat is free. On the defendant's bench sits Sean Diddy Combs, music icon, multimillionaire, darling of high society, and now the central figure in a trial that leaves even hardened investigators speechless. His daughters are sitting in the courtroom, motionless, barely a blink. Then Cassie Ventura takes the witness stand. What she says drops the room temperature by 10 degrees. A few minutes later, the family flees the courtroom, crying, trembling. This is no longer about gossip, no longer about celebrity rumors. This is about rape, about control, about the systematic destruction of human lives, and about a truth so devastating that even Osama bin Laden's former attorney reportedly said, "I won't defend this man." What really happened? And why has this become so big? Diddy made music history, earned millions, worked with legends, created his own stars. He became a brand. Bad Boy Records, Sean John, Ciroc Vodka. Wherever he appeared, money flowed. Wherever he partied, cameras followed. Wherever he lived, it resembled a fortress more than a neighborhood. And that's exactly where the problem lies. According to witness accounts, the glamour was just a facade. Behind the golden gates of his villas hid a world where Diddy was no longer a producer or celebrity, but a man who needed control. Absolute, total, without compromise. What Cassie describes doesn't sound like excess. It sounds like captivity. She sits upright, hands folded. No trembling, no tears. Not yet. When she begins to speak, the only sound in the room is the clicking of pens on notepads. Then nothing, only her voice. She talks about love, hope, the beginning, about a 22-year-old girl who believed Diddy was the man who would launch her into global stardom. But the red carpet was a trap. Behind the glamour were rooms no person should ever enter, a hidden tunnel under his mansion, a room with cameras on the walls, red lights, chains, pills, and rules that could not be broken. Cassie describes being locked in there for 7 days. No food, only water. And Diddy's voice from a speaker, "You have to learn to obey." She recounts strangers being prepared, bodies treated like props, the pain, and how even her fear eventually went numb. And when she says, "I thought if I loved him enough, he would change," even the jury lowers their eyes. This is not just a testimony. It is a document of systematic dehumanization. What is now backfiring on him is his sick obsession with private parties. Freak-offs, Diddy called them. Exclusive, wild, secret. Cassie describes them as productions, meticulously planned like film sets. He decided everything. The lighting, the clothes, the participants. She had to procure outfits, prepare rooms, even recruit people. Via Craigslist, escort agencies, sometimes just random strangers. Once she texted him, "Which pill should I take today?" His answer, precise as always. These events didn't last hours. Sometimes 3, sometimes 4 days. No breaks, no way out. Those who spoke were punished. Those who refused were replaced. Cassie said, "I wasn't a hostess. I was property, and always cameras." Videos later used for blackmail, ensuring no one would dare testify against him. For Diddy, it was a game. For those involved, a psychological state of emergency. No safe word, no mercy. And sometimes, Cassie says, there was intimacy with women who were no longer conscious or had never willingly agreed. Back in the courtroom, in the front row sit 3 young women, Delilah, Jessie, and Chance, Diddy's daughters. Still upright, as if trying to lend their father strength. But then the video begins. Footage from a freak-off, flashing lights, people in white outfits, and in the middle, Kim Porter, Diddy's deceased ex-partner, lost, dazed, confused. The woman who once gave these children life, who once read them bedtime stories, now seen in a moment of total helplessness. Diddy jumps up, yells, slams his fist on the table. "Stop the video, my kids are here." But it's too late. Delilah covers her face. Jessie starts trembling. Chance, motionless, but with a glassy stare. Then they get up and flee. Doors slam. Their footsteps echo. And the silence in the courtroom suddenly feels heavy as lead. What made them appear that day despite Diddy's prohibition? Did they know what was coming, or did they finally want to see it? While the sisters cry, two others stay seated. Justin and King, no tears, no escape. Just hard, unreadable stares. What began as a family visit ends in an emotional earthquake. And this video changes everything. Without it, Diddy's psychological terror could have simply continued. Thus crumbles the image of the family man who claimed to put his children above all else. And a dark question arises. If Kim Porter was there, was her 2018 pneumonia really just a medical coincidence? Or did she want to speak out and had to be silenced forever? So far, there is no proof, but the circumstantial weight is growing. It's tragic. Diddy had everything. Millions in the bank, lawyers on the payroll, bodyguards at every door. And yet Sean Combs suddenly stands naked before the law. Not literally, but morally. The list of allegations is long. Coercion, abuse, drugs, kidnapping, violence. But what really causes a stir is not just what Cassie says. It's who doesn't want to defend Diddy. The attorney who once wanted to represent Osama bin Laden refused. Reportedly, he said, "I've defended murderers, terrorists. But this goes too far." A sentence that weighs more than any press release. Because when even the devil's advocate says no, how far must you have fallen for even evil to keep its distance? And Cassie wasn't the only one. Not the first, and certainly not the last. Since her statement, more and more women have come forward, some named, others anonymous, all with similar stories. Parties where no one remembers how they got there. Waking up in strange rooms, pain, cameras. FBI raids on Diddy's properties confirm what many had feared. Hidden passages, secret rooms, locked server areas, surveillance systems not for safety, but for control and blackmail. Assistants who supposedly just organized, employees who claim they saw nothing. A whole system built on silence, fear, dependency. Cassie says, "I thought I loved him, but he only wanted me to belong to him." And that sentiment runs like a red thread through all the accounts. Diddy was not a seducer. He was an architect of power, of fear, of a twisted empire built behind glass, gold, and Grammy statues. Cassie Ventura was once the beautiful accessory by Diddy's side. A pop starlet, pretty, promising, replaceable for many, moldable for Diddy. But now she's at the center of a global outcry, not with a song, but with the truth. When she said in court, "I speak for those without a voice," it wasn't a pose. It was a break with the old life, with fear, with the role she was forced into. She's no longer a singer or dancer. She's a witness, someone who stood up to the most powerful man in the music industry and stayed standing. Her courage inspired others, and the silence that hung over everything like concrete is now starting to crack. Cassie is not famous today because she wants to be, but because she lost something Diddy will never have, her fear. And what remains of a man whose name once stood for success, style, and Super Bowl parties? An empire of beats, bottles, and billion-dollar branding. A man who once dined with presidents now sits in court, accused of locking women in dark rooms while the cameras flashed outside. Diddy was seen as a self-made millionaire. Today, he seems more like the product of his own greed. What he built was a system that's now collapsing. With every statement, every leaked file, every woman who finds the strength to speak. And maybe that's the bitter point. In the end, it wasn't the beats, the awards, or the money, but the voices he tried to silence that are now the loudest in his story. Whether he will be convicted, that's for a court to decide. But his image, that's already destroyed. See you next time on Stinkreich.